distracting.
Oh, they have the volume up on that. Good evening and welcome to the Finance and Advisory Board of April 3rd. Is that right?
Yeah.
Call the meeting to
Yes.
order
It
at
is April
7:06. To begin with this evening, we're going to start with Steve Przemski is joining us from Conservation. He's our conservation agent. He's here to answer any questions in regards to a CPC article. You've got the budgets in front of you and the warrant. And this will be, it's on page 7 of 10. And this is for the Community Preservation Open Space category, Conservation Restriction. Steve, do you want to give us a brief summary of what this project is about?
So, Steve Przemski, Georgetown Conservation Commission agent. Good evening. The commission submitted a project to co-hold a conservation restriction along with Greenbelt on Wheelerbrook Farm. It's a $150,000 request. We are co-holding with Greenbelt, and they're actually putting in about $90,000, doing the yearly inspections and kind of really administratively helping through the project and applying for some grants and stuff like that. And again, I think you're pretty familiar with the project as far as my end of it. I did bring Vanessa in just to explain her organization and her role in this, and she's kind of the conservation restriction expert. I kind of dabble in it, and so she's here to really ask some of the more sophisticated questions. So,
Okay.
Vanessa from Greenbelt.
Thanks, everyone. Vanessa Johnson. I'm a land protection specialist with Essex County Greenbelt Association. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, we're a nonprofit land conservation organization that's been around for 50 years. And we've preserved about 15,000 acres of land in Essex County. About 5,000 of those acres is land we own. About 5,000 is projects we've assisted with but ended up without any interest in the land. And about 5,000 acres is conservation restrictions on private properties. So a conservation restriction, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a legal document. It is a real property interest, just like owning the fee. Lawyers like to talk about owning land as owning a bundle of sticks. So in each stick is a right of something you can do with that land. It's one stick might be to subdivide, one's to harvest timber, one's to do agriculture, one's to build houses or a house or whatever, whatever zoning allows and acreage allows and the economy allows. So a conservation restriction is buying some of those development rights and extinguishing them, and it's a document that's recorded at the registry. It goes with the land. So the Wheelerbrook conservation restriction prohibits any future development on the property. Depending on whose analysis you look at, there could be anywhere between 3 and 5 house lots on that, depending on whatever the situation is. And the conservation restriction is eliminating the right to have any future houses on the farm. So it's a conservation restriction on 18 acres. It does allow continued farming on the property. The conservation restriction has quite flexible terms to allow for expansion of the farm over time, not in terms of, a little bit in terms of the fields, but also in terms of adding greenhouses if they need to. A lot of farmers are going more towards growing those microgreens so they can expand the growing season. And we've worked really hard with the Natural Resources Conservation Service to come up with a template that makes farming viable into the future. The other thing a conservation restriction does that's really important is it reduces the value of the land, not below what it's been under Chapter 61, but in terms of future landowners trying to buy the land or future farmers wanting to buy land to farm, it actually makes the land affordable to them because they're buying it at agricultural value as opposed to the value it would get on the market if you could actually put 3 or 4 houses on it. So a conservation restriction is actually the most common tool used by private landowners to permanently protect their property for future generations. It's a really important tool for estate planning for a lot of landowners, enabling the kids to be able to afford to inherit the land because their estate taxes are reduced, because the land value is reduced. And the $150,000, as Steve mentioned, is about 2/3 of the value, or a little under 2/3 of the fair market value according to the town's appraisal of the conservation restriction, and Greenbelt will be funding the remainder. The other thing that Greenbelt will be providing is when we take on a conservation restriction, we take on the responsibility of monitoring that restriction forever. That's what makes us a qualified organization, to make sure those conservation restriction terms are upheld. And we will happily take on that responsibility to make sure that this conservation restriction terms are upheld. So that, in a very brief nutshell, is a conservation restriction. It's the Wheelerbrook Farm conservation restriction. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Steve, on the map, can you just point out, because this property that you're talking about has 2 parcels. This Wheelerbrook Farm has 3 parcels, correct? And you're talking about 2 parcels?
The Bob Morehouse owns 3 parcels.
That's, okay.
Wheeler Brook, the active farm, is in this area here. This house is separate.
The house and some land behind
This
the
house right here is separate. This is Bob's house.
Okay.
And there's another house he owns right here, with the property line over here.
Okay.
This is the one that I think there was some discussion about possibly subdividing. That's not really part of this discussion, and I'm not really familiar with what he's looking to do. As far as Wheeler Brook, when you say Wheeler Brook Farm, it's everything inside this minus this house lot.
And what's the thing up on top?
This is a wetland. The old town road used to cut through here, and it's still shown on the town map. So this is this funky double teardrop shaped piece of land that he technically owns, but it's not really functional for anything other than frogs and toads and stuff like that.
You gotta be careful, they're close to the road.
So his little, just to kind of orientate you where everything is, so the little farm stand is right about here.
To
And
the
he's got
left.
his- Oh, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, it's at the start of
It's
the road.
right about here.
Yeah.
And then there's this dirt path back here, and his main fields are here. And then there's a small wetland, little crossing here to a backfield back here. So unless you've ever walked back here, you can't see this from the road.
So is there anything in that larger piece of property that is developable? Potentially
So,
developable?
2 appraisals have been done.
Okay.
One was funded by Greenbelt and the owner, and another one was funded by CPC. The appraisal done by the Greenbelt and the applicant came up with 4 house lots. The town one
On
had
this
3.
piece right here?
Yep.
Yep.
Between this area and this area.
Okay.
This is really not very developable because of the wetland crossing. And Wheeler Brook Farm, thus Wheeler Brook goes around here. So the wetland and the buffers to that really restrict the developability.
Okay.
If you just went by acreage, you could get a lot more in here. So the town's appraisal came up with 3. Their appraisal came up with 4. And I deal with development every day. To be honest with you, depending on the developer and how they present it, you might be able to get more. And the only reason I'm saying that is, in reality, these appraisals, they're very conservative. They don't reach. Very conservative. 3, 4, it's pretty much the same thing. They're both professional appraisals looking at pretty much the same information. The developer could come in here 4 or 5 lots, and guess what? He might get 4. He might come in with 6 and get 5. This is not, developable isn't a science, it's a process. So the money that we're looking for to fund this for $150,000, again, I've been working with the owner for 8 years now to work out this deal. It's a bargain sale. He's taken a $100,000 donation, Greenbelt's coming up some money, and depending on what appraisal you look at, we're basing that 150 on 3 house lots. If it was 4 or 5 lots, it's even better of a deal. But unless it's ever developed, you really never know what can go in there. It's all discussion and asking different boards what their opinion is on what could go in there.
Right, because it also may have to go through zoning because of frontage and
Correct.
if it may not be
Correct.
falling.
And there's some
Okay.
question about,
Yep.
again, it hasn't been before these boards, so all we have at this point is appraisers asking different boards their opinions and us answering to the best of our ability. We don't vote, we don't make decisions, we just advise. Appraisers take all this information and form an opinion.
And the appraisers actually look at local zoning.
Yep, they look at everything, but I mean, again, they didn't go for waivers, they didn't go and ask the Conservation Commission for a decision. It's kind of based on researching the regs and the rules and the zoning, and
Right, it's just.
zoning's probably the most clear and defined.
It's guesstimates, yeah.
Conservation's a little bit more, what would they grant a waiver for?
Okay, conservation restriction, that is in perpetuity, that's,
Yes.
it stays in perpetuity forever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And just also, I'm asking some of these questions that we may know the answers to, but just
Yep.
for those folks at home
Yep.
that don't know. And right now, it's in chapter 61A. Do you
Correct.
want to explain what 61A is? You can probably explain 61A better than I could.
And Vanessa can probably do it better than I can too.
Yeah, 61A is a property tax relief offered to landowners who agree to keep their land either in agriculture or in forestry, or in open space. There's 61, 61A, and 61B. 61A is for agriculture. So landowners agree to keep their land in agriculture for a certain number of years, and it's renewable. I think for agriculture, it's every 5 years that it's renewable.
So basically, it's, and Steve, correct me, interject anytime if I'm wrong, so, couple of things. The town, just so people, the town has first right of refusal because it is in 61A.
Correct. When there's a change of use. If it stays in 61, the town doesn't get a chance. If
That's
he
the-
gets a purchase and sale from a developer to put 6 house lots, the town has a chance,
Right.
first right of refusal, to purchase it at the price, with some wiggle room, at the price the developer's looking for. In talking to Vanessa and some other people in the field, that is an option, obviously. We can wait, and it may never come up. I think the goal here is to, the most cost-effective way of protecting the farm in perpetuity. It's the last and only row crop farm in Georgetown. It is part of Georgetown. It makes what Georgetown what it is. If we wait till it changes, and it may never change, but if it does, the odds of the town coming up with the money in the time frame required, I think it's 120 days?
You have 120 days to exercise your right of first refusal as a town and meet a bona fide offer, which is a landowner. If a landowner gives you a notice of change of use, and he's selling the property, he has to provide the town with a bona fide offer, which is a purchase and sale agreement that he has signed with a developer. The town has 120 days to decide whether or not they want to exercise their right of first refusal. From the date that they decide to exercise, or they can assign their right of first refusal, they have 90 days upon which to act on that.
And that's all while it's in while it stays in 61A, and then he's planning to sell it for change of use. I just want to make sure, I'm just trying to get the actual factual data out there right
Either
now.
if he's going to sell it or if he is going to change the use himself.
And there is a payback in the taxes, 5 years.
Okay.
But the one interesting thing that I should point out from talking to Vanessa, and she deals with this a lot, is a significant amount of the time, the towns can't come up with the money, and they can't make things happen fast enough. Just as you know, things take a little longer at this, in this process. So that, that could be a potential, but the reality is, a significant amount of the time, the towns can't come up with that funds. So I hear people talking, that's a good fallback plan. The most cost-effective and sure way, the only way to guarantee it is to work with the homeowner, the landowner, real time, and protect it. And, the $150,000 is a phenomenal discount considering what the town is getting. And if you wait, say he gets an offer for $600,000, is the town going to be able to come up with $600,000 in 121 days? Again, it's a matter of what the townspeople feel is valuable, and if they feel like a local farmer is important and valuable, and then this is what needs to be done. If you don't, then the reality is it could be lost. And again, no guarantees. It could stay a farm forever either way. But
So, just to be clear now, then the $150,000 is basically a donation for him to be able to put it into conservation restriction, correct? There is no town ownership on this land.
I wouldn't call it a donation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We would be giving
It
$150,000.
would be acquiring the development rights on the property for $150,000. In addition to the money that we fundraise, you're buying the development rights from the landowner and extinguishing those development rights.
Right, but my point is that it is still privately held land.
Yes.
Townspeople, it's not like it's other conservation lands. And Steve, forgive me, what was the last one we bought off of North and West?
Driftway.
Driftway.
Yeah, Vanessa was significant in that one too.
The public can access that anytime they want. They can go on that because the town owns the land, correct? All right, this is still not town-owned land, this is privately held land.
Yep.
Being put into conservation restriction with town money. And that is my concern, is that we're buying the developable rights. And I don't see that as our purview as a town to spend money in that particular way. If a homeowner wishes to take a 61A property and put it into conservation restriction on their own because they want to make the choice of going forward to do that, I think that's their own personal option because it's their private property, as you said, with a bunch of sticks. Well, we'd be paying $150,000 and we still have no use of any of those sticks. We don't own a stick in that bundle at all. And that's my concern about this entire project. And I'm putting that out there now for the rest of the board to ask questions or give opinions.
Well, my opinion is, as you well know, I'm in favor of it.
Right.
I think to me, it's important that we keep something like a farm here in Georgetown. And I guess in terms of looking at other things that the CPC has spent money on, I don't see this as wildly out of use. I mean, a lot of things have been spent. CPC money has been spent that we all sort of don't think is such a great idea.
Right.
To me, this keeps a farm in place, a business. It keeps a business, which the Economic Development Committee was very much in favor of keeping the business here. And I guess my question is: how common is it for a town to own development rights? I know it's very common for the state. Is it common for a town? Do towns do it?
Yes, it's quite common for towns to partner with their local land trust to acquire conservation restrictions. A lot of towns will not even partner with a local land trust. A lot of towns will elect their conservation commissions will hold conservation restrictions on land. They see it as an investment in protecting open space in their community, an investment in protecting clean water, because preventing development is preventing additional sources of non-point source pollution to the water supply. This does have wetlands on the property, which are valuable from a water quality perspective. I think they see it also as an investment in preserving a way of life that the people in their town value, preserving open space. While the decision as to whether or not the land is public will remain with the landowner, this has historically been a property where the farm has welcomed the public on the property. It's a conservation restriction is always a balance, and the majority of private landowners don't want to give up their rights on their property at all. They want to reserve those rights because they can make a lot more money selling their land for development, and that's well within their right. And in many places, that's the most appropriate use of the property. In this circumstance, you have a landowner who does not want to see that for his property, and Greenbelt is an organization that helps landowners accomplish that and helps communities accomplish that.
I would like to agree with Jim. As most of you know, I'm not into spending money very often, particularly on sticks like she's talking about here. But, one of the reasons I settled in Georgetown was I really like the ambience here. I like the farm. And I've seen some of the CPC money used in the past for some of the swamps and all we bought. We actually have some usable land here, at least in this one right here. I like the fruit stand and all, and I think it really is an ambience in the community here. And when we look at for the amount of money, and particularly with her organization putting up some funding for this thing too, it seems to me that if you look at it, I think in just sticks, you might say, well, quantitatively, what does the town really gain from that? But this is kind of hard to measure because it's I think it's a way of life. The fruit stand, the jobs that people get out there. I don't know if they use kids during the summer out there to harvest some of the fruit or whatever. But I kind of like it. And I used to go by there all the time when I go down to Sidney Wiley's place for our horses, and we would go by there. And it's nice. And I certainly would like to see the town preserve that also. I'm agreeing with you, Jim. One other thing too, the money you're talking about giving him, let's say 4 years from now he has a change of heart, or there's somebody causes the place to go on the market and everything. But don't we start with a base of the money that we've given here to where it goes for do we pay the whole thing? For instance, you're $600,000, let's say he's got an offer for $600,000. We wouldn't necessarily have to come up with the whole six at that time. We would have to come up with the difference between that and what we've already put into it, isn't it?
If the town votes to put this restriction in place, it decreases the property value. So say at a future time the town gets an opportunity to purchase the farm, and if they want to, the value would be greatly reduced. So you can almost make an argument that this money is going towards bringing down the value of the property. So at future time, if they want to sell it to the town, it would be
Well, that's what I was saying.
that
You're
what you're
actually,
asking?
you're not really losing the money. You're actually banking the money. And if something happens in the future and everything, because you've devalued that and everything, you're actually getting at a cheaper price than you would be if you hadn't have done
Correct,
that.
correct.
So it's not like we're just throwing the money away. I mean, we are, it is there and it will retain there.
It's
And
a
it
value.
ensures, hopefully ensures it stays that way.
Well, and then that's the question, is the future, then by doing this, then it takes off the table in 10, 15, 20 years from now, what the people in town wanna do, if we wanna buy that property, if anybody wants to buy a farmland. But it doesn't matter, it can't be used for anything else. So if the town sees that they really wanted to buy a piece of property in years from now to use for something else, it's done, it's conservation restriction, it's farm,
That's true.
that's it.
That's true.
It can't go back.
And
But I think the
done.
chances of the town buying it under any circumstances is very slim. I mean, you know.
Oh, I don't disagree,
I don't, you know, I don't think that's anything that would happen.
No, and it's just, and that's really what it is spending $150,000
Right.
to stop any potential development that
Well,
we don't even know if
It
it's
isn't
out
just
there.
stopping potential development in my mind. It's keeping what's there. That's what I'm interested in. You know, you're right. You know, 3 more houses in Georgetown is not going to break our school system.
No.
But I'm more interested in keeping what's there.
And
That's-
what
that's-
happens if in 10 years from now, somebody doesn't wanna farm it?
Well, I think you can be with all kinds of what ifs and could be.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry,
I
Ed
mean,
has a question,
I
what?
was just wondering, does that mean that at that point, we're in the farming business
No.
as a
No,
town?
because we don't own it.
Oh, no, you
We
don't
don't
own
own
it. No.
It's
Yeah,
whoever
I'm
owns
not
it
sure
in the
you
future.
want to anyway.
But the conservation restriction says that the land has to be kept in farmable condition. So who owns that land, it has to be at a minimum, it has to be mowed to keep those agricultural fields cleared and ready to be planted again. And if the landowners can't farm it, the conservation restriction says that either the landowners have to find someone to farm it, or we can step in, Greenbelt has the right to step in and find someone to farm the property. And right now, in our research and in our discussions with the agricultural community and in the research that's being done on the statistics looking at the trends in agriculture, there are a lot of young farmers out there who can't afford to buy land, and they're looking for land to lease. And even established farmers who can't afford to buy more land to farm because prices in Essex County are too expensive. So they're looking for more land to lease to farm. So I don't think that finding a farmer for this land in the future will ever be a concern.
But that goes directly to my question. You're saying that we're putting the $150,000 in, and at some point that goes towards the purchase price. And at that point, with the restrictions on, we become de facto farmers.
No, you don't become defective.
If we end up purchasing the property.
Yes.
if we
Oh,
end up-
yeah.
Yes.
But I think we're saying that it's unlikely.
But that's like,
The 150 is to keep
the
what
big
it
thing,
is.
I'm dealing with a developer out in Arizona right now, and the one thing I've learned about developers and my little bit of an education here in the last few months is that they really like clean deals. They don't like things to be squirrely and have restrictions on it, and they've got to go through all this legal. They really want it to be nice and clean and surgically done. And so when you get into a piece of property like this that has these restrictions on it, even if someone was interested, when you start getting into that it's got this, the town has this first right of refusal, and all that, they just move on. I mean, obviously, if it's the ideal place, not necessarily so, but it acts as a deterrent to do anything else other than be that little fruit stand on the side of the road in Georgetown and another farm that didn't go under the bulldozer for another condominium something. So
And I don't disagree with that, but I'm still hung up on the fact that after a period of time, if they want to get out of the farming business, what happens?
They would sell it to another person. So the ownership would remain right now with Bob Morehouse. In 5 years, he decides to get out of the business. He can sell it to someone. He can leave it to a child or a grandchild. He can sell it to a stranger. No matter who takes it next, has to continue farming it. We're never on the hook. The town's never on the hook for becoming farmers. Greenbelt is on the hook to help facilitate making sure it's continued to be farmed. And they will find a farmer for the land if needed. But no townspeople are going to be responsible for becoming farmers. It's kind of investing in the farm. It's not taking ownership of the farm or any obligation. We're not even doing yearly inspection. Greenbelt's going to take care of that. There's no cost to the town for this once this restriction goes through. Greenbelt takes care of everything.
Okay, so here's a question, just why isn't Greenbelt coming up with all the money if they're interested in doing this?
Because we can't. It's a lot of money to come up with, and we typically partner with other organizations to come together to raise the funds to buy land where we need to buy land or conservation restrictions. It's just not feasible for a nonprofit organization, quite typically, to come up with $250,000.
Well, it's probably also like I get phone calls all the time for donations, and somewhere there's only so much money to go around.
Exactly.
And you can only help so many people. I mean, you would like to help everyone, but there's only so much money, and I have the same thing somewhere. I have to say no. I maxed out on the number of children I'm going to give, and it's the same way with this right here.
Right.
I'm sure you have lots of projects, lots of things that you want to do, and this is one of many. And there's only so much money that you can do for that. I understand that.
This also, to me, it's, I've worked with Greenbelt on a few projects, and when I ask them, can you guys put any money into the pot? The answer is always no. And the fact that they're putting money on the table, to me, really says what a good project this is. They don't give money lightly. The last project I worked on, Driftway, those 34 acres, resources, they helped, they went to meetings, they advised me, they helped me through the project, but they wouldn't give any money. It was a good project. The fact that they're putting money on the table for this project is significant to me, that they're willing to put some of their money in with their limited resources and limited funding they have. They're willing to put that money on the table, to me, is really, really important.
Okay. Robin, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Because I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to ask questions or
I don't
comment.
know, I guess I'm still, I'm still a little confused here. That we're putting up $150,000, but we don't own the land,
Correct.
okay? So that $150,000 goes to,
The existing owner now, Bob Morehouse.
it goes to Bob Morehouse. Bob Morehouse can, in 5 years, decide that he wants to put houses on that land.
Well, we can't.
You
No.
can't.
No,
He can't.
that's what this is
No.
stopping him from doing.
Okay.
But he
all
can, he can deed it to a child or grandchild or sell it to
Or
another
sell it.
farmer.
right, Okay.
But it'll always be a farm.
Right.
Right, and I think I had raised this question before. If, I don't know, 5 or 10 year period of time, technology advances to a degree where we could, I don't know, put solar panels on those 18 acres and use the electricity generated from that, for the town, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah,
Well-
but that means the town would have to
You
buy
don't,
it.
you don't own the land to begin with. You couldn't
Right.
do it without the restriction. It's not the town's property. And to be honest with you, you have a landfill in town. Perfect location, no one's using it, it's just sitting there.
No,
You can't-
I've been through that.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
reason why.
Yes,
that-
I've
There's
been
other
through that.
parcels.
It doesn't
Again,
work.
this parcel has value. There's other parcels. There's a lot of Chapter 61 land. There's a lot of parcels of land that are open for uses. This has some of the best soil in town, has a riverfront, wetlands. Again, certain land is designed for certain uses. This one's for farming. We're trying to protect it as a farm. There's a lot of 61. There's some forested land. I think we have 100-acre Chapter 61 land that's been getting tax prices for years. There's other properties in town. This is not the only, 8-acre open area for other uses.
Right, and that's another concern I have, is that setting a precedence now for folks who want to do something that, in order to do it, for their own personal use, that they'd be looking for money from the town.
I'm not, I mean.
Yeah,
if someone-
with the 61A properties, this my concern, my other concern is setting a
Yeah, but
precedent.
this is an active farm.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
others are not.
Right, and then my other question is, what kind of farming? What is the definition of farming?
The conservation restriction actually defines farming. It uses the state's language, the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources, for how you define farming. For the most part, it's the farming definition that we chose has to do with active row crops. Haying, yes, haying could qualify as a farm, but the conservation restriction is designed for to allow for and encourage active row cropping. It could be an orchard. They could have a certain number of animals if they wanted to for pasturing. This size of a property lends itself to being the kind of farm that it is, and we crafted the conservation restriction to allow that to continue.
Now, I'm gonna throw this out there, and everybody's gonna go, oh, and because somebody mentioned this to me. With the change in legislations, this could become a marijuana growing farm?
Not under our conservation
I mean, it's
restrictions.
just, it's a legitimate
I
question
think
now
that
they've
would
taken-
come under, that would probably come under the town regulations. I think it's up to the town to determine whether or not that would be permissible. And the conservation restriction doesn't supersede town regulations. So,
They're gonna start cropping up. Not to make a joke, but they're gonna start cropping up. I mean, it's gonna happen.
At least it's taxable.
So,
You know, I've watched, I have a little bit advantage. Steve approached me last year on this to get some ideas when he was trying a different approach to actually buy this property or do something with it. He did not want to see it developed. And I remember last year when he was racking his brains and I was looking at it from a business standpoint and trying to give him some advice on how to tackle this thing. And I admire his tenacity because he's back here again this year with a different spin on it. And actually, this one here is something that's actually doable, where last year it wasn't doable. So I pretty much I might say I think it's a good idea.
all right, we'll be voting on that later as we go through the warrant.
Okay.
Anything else, Mike? Do you have any questions? If you have any questions at all? Okay. Anybody else? All set?
No, I think we're good.
Great, thank you very much.
thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Okay,
much.
thanks.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
What, are you gonna be voting on this tonight? I'll be
Voting on the entire warrant tonight. Okay, cool. Budget first, and then we'll go through the warrant articles.
All right.
Okay. Mike has handed out our budget.
Need a glass of water. Have some.
It's almost gone.
All right.
It's gone, huh?
Mike, do you want to tell us what you've changed?
Yes. As you can see from your previous one, we had a draft about $48,000 in surplus. And we tried to find a way to fund the computer and server lease program, the 3-year lease program, which I explained to all of you. And the consensus of the board was use the 48 in surplus, that was in the surplus at the time, and then come up with the additional $10,000, because it's approximately $59,000 elsewhere in the budget. So I was able, and I mentioned this at the meeting too, and I mentioned it to Sandy prior to the meeting. We've been running fairly consistently now as far as our legal bills and our unemployment costs. They're pretty much, at one point they were pretty much out of control.
Yes.
Yeah, they were.
And now we're running with about 3/4 of the year gone. We've only spent 50% of each one of those line items.
Really?
Yes.
Nice. Where, can you just show me where they are in here?
Well, yeah,
Sorry.
Or is that,
the
things have moved,
unemployment is in the back with the other insurances.
page 4?
Employee benefits down the bottom,
Yep.
Oh, I see. Okay.
unemployment insurance.
Oh, so you're taking 5 out of
So you
that.
had it at 100 and you're going down to 95?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
and then
Legal?
legal is.
We're at the front, isn't
Yeah,
it,
that's
somewhere?
back up in the front,
Page.
and that's rolled into the new category called purchase of services under administration and finance, so you can't actually see
Oh,
the
is that right?
$5,000, but
yeah.
I reduced that by
Okay.
$5,000.
Oh, it's in the
Okay.
650?
It is.
Okay.
And then, you know, the 48 went into the 650.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make the 650.
To make
Yeah.
to make the 650. Okay.
So that way, that is where the servers, the 3-year lease program is in the operating budget now.
Yes, it's in the town operating budget, and we have a further line item, it's for computer systems. I think, it's a matter of fact, yeah, you can see where the old line item was. Computer systems, maintenance and supplies, under operation support.
Oh, yeah.
We still have that line, but it's, this whole operation and support rolls up into purchase of services now.
Mike, what's the reserve fund at? I don't know where anything is anymore.
95, right?
96, actually,
96,
And
you're
that's in the
right.
purchase of services also, isn't it? Or do you still?
no,
have
I
it
left that out, so
Okay.
we could keep better track of that.
Okay.
We're not, that's a reserve fund, it's not a service.
Yeah.
separate? Where is that? Oh, there it is.
It's at the bottom of that.
It's
Operations.
right underneath the
Operational
capital
support.
improvement
Page
projects.
one.
I left the one, the
Real
capital
one, the real
improvement operating and the reserve fund expense.
Okay, thank
out
you.
there for their own, so we can keep an eye on it
Okay.
and be transparent. Not that we're not being transparent with the others, we're just doing
I
it
thought we,
different.
I thought
Right.
we decided to use the 110.
We did, but it's still a line item.
Right.
You don't, we don't need a warrant article for it, it's gonna come
Right,
out as
it's
an
in the budget.
operating.
Oh,
And-
okay.
and-
All right. I'm
And
sorry.
the detail
yeah.
of what we discussed
Yeah,
is on
yeah.
the last
okay.
page.
Never mind. I was.
No, the detail of what we discussed last week is on the last page.
Okay,
So you go
all
to
right.
the last page, but then just ignore
That was
the
a brain
titles
cramp,
of
sorry.
budget and the years. And it just gives a summary of the beginning balance,
Yep.
what we've decided to, we're making recommendations that we'll be voting on with the warrant articles.
Yeah.
So that'll leave basically that capital operating expense,
It's going to go down to like 3 or
yeah,
something like that.
3,107,
3,100.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on the budget?
Looking good.
This is, I commend you and your staff, Mike, you've done a really, this is,
The best we've seen for a long
Yeah.
time.
I know,
Isn't it?
it's nice, it's really, it's nice to see our conservative ways for so many years is,
Yeah.
all the departments are still not getting everything that
But still, we're
they
starting,
want
to,
and
they're
need, but
starting to get more in the way
we're
of capital.
building up.
Yeah.
And as I said last week, as long as the state, doesn't come down too hard on us,
Yeah. We're good.
yeah.
Okay.
There could be some last minute changes if we just don't see the revenue that's been
Right.
projected.
But we can
That's
fix
every
that in
year.
the fall.
Yeah.
I know the DOR is telling us we can't do
Right.
that, but then
That would
they
require
have to
them
tell their friends to
to get the budget out in
get
March.
the budget out in time, so we don't have
Yeah.
to do this.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add to the,
Actually, as long as we were talking about the budget, I did get a new update as of April 1st, and Peter is quite the joker, but I don't think he would pull this type of joke on us. As of April 1st, the deficit is only 145,207.
Wow.
yeah, so the 150 that we had discussed last week,
Wow, that's
So,
amazing.
that's really,
So as
Yeah,
long
he
as
would- I
there's,
don't think he would joke
I don't
no
think that would
huge,
joke with you.
spring snowstorm,
yeah.
we're pretty much out of the woods
That's excellent.
with that.
But that's okay, because
And-
we also do have some reserve fund, a little bit there.
Yes.
We got little pockets here and there if we get hit with something crazy.
And this also just came today, and I think the announcement was on the media, but the state has put a lot of extra money into the Chapter 90 road transportation money, and especially for the local area. I think in total statewide they doubled it.
Wow.
But we're looking at, this is provisionally our apportionment for fiscal year 2014
Bless you.
is $457,454, which is about $150,000 more than we got last year.
Nice.
Yeah, the smaller towns, this is the whole transportation bill that it's a 10-year, it was in the Beacon, 10-year plan, but they've rolled in, so that's kind of like the carrot they're holding out there for everyone to put in to get the Chapter 90 monies put up by 50%. It went from 200 to 300 billion, I think,
Yes.
yeah. And, but the transportation bill is also tied into an awful lot of other projects.
Oh,
And there's a lot of pet projects that are in there too, and so it's and there's a movement by not a movement, but there's different highway associations across the state are trying to get that separated out so that basically you're not holding hostage the extra Chapter 90 money, which is desperately needed, and basically saying, well, if the legislatures don't vote for this entire bill, then the towns don't get the extra money. So there's lobbying and things going on right now to sit and keep it separate and say, you know, what are you doing? Because there are an awful lot of special projects that are in there that, you know, for different areas, and it's basically, it's like, you don't do that to the towns. The towns deserve to get the Chapter 90 monies back up again, because so we can, you know, do it, because there are so many communities that only have Chapter 90 to do their roadways. So hopefully, if that can take place, then that would be good, because then we get the 300 billion, you know, and we're not.
Billion, it's not 300 billion. 300, it's got to be 300 million.
300 million, yeah, sorry, 300 million. So that way the towns can plan in the future, you know, because it's because I don't know if that's the legislature, because that's the transportation bill, which is getting paid for by tax hikes and I think sales tax raise and things like that, so. That's why they're trying to get it pulled out, so. To get the Chapter 90 money to the towns. So,
Okay.
but that would be good, because then that would give more money for Peter, which would be really, really nice. Desperately needed. All right. you
And
ready?
that's all I have for additional information on the budget.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to recommend, what am I doing? We're recommending the budget as presented to us to be recommended to town meeting.
Right.
Of $24,411,833 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second on the floor. You all set? Mm-hmm. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Great job, Mike.
Thank you, Sandy.
Very good.
Very good job.
I can also add that it's only a 1.85% increase over last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Somebody did some serious cutting.
Yeah. No, it's just, it's, you know, it's good, and I commend the departments for everyone stepping up. And I'll let them know that, stepping up and doing this, and I think it's been a very good team effort this year. And it's,
Yep.
and also, Mike, thank you very much for the coordination of the March 9th meeting, because I think that was very helpful to moving the whole thing along the one-day meeting.
Worked well.
A wonderful idea.
Alrighty.
Took us a month to get there, but
Hey.
Yeah, it did.
That's what happened.
little
A little bit of snow?
snow problem, yeah.
Alrighty, on to the warrant. Are there any changes, Mike, to the warrant that are notable, other than you just putting in from where we're,
I just added basically 4 articles from
someone's buzzing.
the
Not mine. Feel it over here.
Is that yours?
yeah.
Wow.
Sandy and I felt it over here.
4 tables away.
We added the 4 quote CIP or capital items.
Okay.
Nothing else has changed.
So we will be putting them in the motion where we're taking the monies from, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So
I
before,
did put, if you go past the consent calendar page, actually it's page 4 of 10. And after other post-employment benefits, well, that was blank, and the committee voted to put a $50,000 figure into the, as a first installment into the post-employment benefit trust fund.
Okay.
So that's different.
Okay.
And then you all voted for the intercom system for the Pearlie and middle high schools. And these are coming out of the wording will be updated by legal, but this is coming out of the capital fund, and it will require a 2/3 majority.
If you turn to the last page in the budget that was handed out, remember I was making the hand ones last week? It shows where each
Right.
of these items, how much money is coming.
By the way,
from
the
each.
year on the tops was a little confusing when I first
Yeah.
looked at
Yeah.
it.
That's a freezing of the titles,
It's
right?
the headers from.
Oh, yeah,
It was,
then
it
you
was on the
trans-
budget spreadsheet.
okay.
Yeah, I put it on the
Okay.
bottom of the budget spreadsheet for Mike, and so,
It got stuck.
yeah, just as he printed it, it got stuck.
Okay.
But that shows where we
Right.
looked at the beginning balance.
Yes, yes.
of
This
each
is what
free
we
cash,
decided
capital,
on.
and
yeah.
capital operating, and what's coming out, going to which articles, how it's being funded. And that'll be in, is you gonna update it in the warrant article, or is it just gonna be in the motion?
The Article 2.
The Article 2.
The article will say 2/3 majority.
And say it's coming
and
with the
it's
free
coming from the
cash?
capital fund,
Okay, because capital fund is 2/3, free cash majority.
correct.
Okay.
Likewise, the replacement of the handicap ramp at the high school, that's a capital fund for 38,000. And then replacement of the HVAC unit for the auditorium in the middle high school, 80,000. The purchase of the six-wheel dump truck, that's going to be 50,000 from free cash and the 100,000 from the capital line item.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
gets voted in as part, it just,
It's
that's
part of
just-
the budget. Yeah. Yeah.
You will have to, we will have to raise $50,000, raise and appropriate 50,000 from free cash.
Right.
In this warrant,
Right,
this
right.
article.
Yes.
So we have the other 100 already in the operating budget. They're the only changes. That we're still waiting for this language for a solicitation bylaw.
What is that?
Well, actually, it's an anti-solicitation bylaw. The board, the selectmen are putting forward a control. You can't prohibit door-to-door sales. It's part of people's constitutional free speech. But you can regulate it to the point where people have to get registered, pay and get a permit to do it. So we know who the people are who is out there, when they're out there. And you can't, the one thing I've learned through this process is it's very hard to restrict the time that people can do this. Matter of fact, any towns that have attempted to restrict the sales or, prior to 9 p.m. have all been shot down as unconstitutional.
Is that?
Yeah. So,
I'm
but,
not going to my door at 9.
well, and
Ring
People
on the
don't do
one.
that anymore.
Yeah.
the other way you can handle this without even making laws, is put a no trespassing sign on your door. And if they knock on your door, you call the police and they get removed for trespassing. But,
And when will you have final?
tomorrow probably.
Okay. We can vote on, we can just not print, just have in the book say FinCom
Right.
makes a recommendation at town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That will be one of those things, and we'll do that before town meeting.
We can do it at the
Yeah, we can.
dinner meeting or whatever, right?
That's-
Yeah, we're doing,
Right.
you know, at the meeting just before the
Yeah.
town
Yeah.
meeting.
And the only other ones that are, I don't have the exact language, are the two CPC articles that are gonna be bonded. Bond counsel has reviewed both projects, the conservation restriction, which is gonna be partially bonded. Well, they're both partial bonds, but the conservation restriction is looking for about $113,000 in bonding. 100 and what? 30, thank you, Steve. And then the artificial turf for the high school, well, everything but the artificial turf, I should say, for the high school is looking for $1 million bond. They're adding in $250,000 in cash up front. So bond counsel is writing the language for those two. But the amounts aren't gonna change.
Okay. Alrighty, we ready?
Let's get cranking.
Okay. I'll entertain him. Are you gonna do?
Are we
you
going
know-
on what,
I'm going on the ATM numbers.
yeah,
Okay.
and are we starting at 3 and going our way
We're
down?
going our way down. You got it.
Okay,
Okay. ATM 13-03. We are going to be passing over that, Mike, is that correct? Because we're not moving anything to
Yeah, we're not,
stabilization
we
fund?
don't,
Or,
we're not moving anything, right?
right,
Unless you made you haven't,
no.
no,
your
we
committee
haven't.
has not made a recommendation, and
No.
the
No.
selectmen haven't really discussed
Yeah.
doing that this
But
time
I think we're up
around.
to snuff with it anyway, right?
Right, we had a
Yeah.
policy
We
that we were
are.
trying to add money in, but I think, right, this year, we're not hurting in stab fund, and I think it was more important for us to actually fund some things
Some
that,
capital stuff,
some
yes.
things that are broken, not just bent, but broken. So, okay, Alan, do you wanna do an entertain a motion for passing over?
Oh, okay, so moved.
Why, do we need it?
You don't,
I don't know if the selectmen, would you
They've
want,
accepted it as being on the warrant. They haven't take
any action?
positions.
oh, okay. Well, then I'll move that we recommend the article be passed over.
Nice,
Second?
second, that, yeah.
Alright, it's been moved and recommended that Article ATM 13-03 be passed over. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. I'll entertain a motion for Article ATM 13-04. Recommend approval for this article. This is the $50,000 to be added to the capital fund.
Where is that coming from? It's not on any of the lists here. Remember, I thought
Did we?
I thought we decided not to when we took
That's correct.
the ladder truck out.
Right,
of
that's
free
right.
cash.
Because we're gonna look into that in the fall, correct?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right,
yeah,
so-
even though.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to recommend passing over Article ATM 13-04.
So moved.
Yeah, second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Health Department operating budget, which is on,
Yeah, we pretty much accepted that, didn't we?
I think we need to do have some further discussions after town meeting with the water department in regards to their long-term capital planning.
Okay.
And I think you were going to speak with them too, Chuck, right?
Yeah,
Because you're the
he sent-
liaison.
yeah, he sent me all the,
It's a Word document.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's about $20 million in the future of bonding and stuff we're gonna have to be doing, so yeah, I'll talk to him.
I think we'll be having some further discussions after town meeting with the water
So you
department.
wanna pass this one over for now?
Well, I don't know, no.
We're not gonna
this-
pass
this-
over, we're just not gonna, we won't take any action at this point.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's-
we have
that's what I
to, no,
meant.
this is the water,
This is their operating budget.
this is their operating budget.
What page is that?
Why do we have two water?
Well, I don't understand the water department budget thing then.
Yeah, why do we have a retained earnings one?
Why, yeah.
Oh, they're moving 175 out of the retained earnings, which we have to vote on because they're doing some water improvements.
Oh, okay.
So this is their budget, the water department's budget is on page 5 of 5, second to last page of your budget. And they're putting in a budget, and Mike, this is correct, this is the latest and greatest that they gave you, right?
Yes.
$1,476,974. Okay, so,
Oddly enough, it's a little bit less than last year.
Yeah, is that right?
About $8,000, yeah.
Yeah.
okay. I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval of Article ATM 1305.
So
For
moved.
the, wait, I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
put the number in.
Oh, excuse me.
In the amount of $1,476,974.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval of ATM 13-06. It's $175,000 from Water Enterprise Fund for costs associated with water system improvements.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the consent calendar. I'll entertain a motion
What is
to,
it? All the way through
Through
15?
15,
Or
yeah.
ATM 1316?
Yeah.
ATM
Okay.
13, 16, but not including 15. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval of ATM 13-07 through 16, but not including a 15. Consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, end of the consent calendar. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval of ATM 13-17. This is for the Fire Department Enterprise Fund creation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Seconded that.
Reggie?
Thanks, Reg.
It's always
Sorry.
Reg.
Yeah, I'm just making sure. It sounded like Chuck for a
If
minute.
somebody else says it, we'll tell them they can't. and
Okay.
Reg is-
Okay. Any further discussion on the enterprise fund? It's not a revolving fund, Robin. It's an enterprise fund, and it has to.
There's not enough money. There's too
I
much
know, I
money
have
there,
no
you know, all of
control.
that, yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
And it's just,
sorry.
and funds still, things need to still be voted each year. It isn't like it's an open-ended, so.
I just want better control than some other enterprise funds.
No, you're talking revolving fund. This is the only enterprise fund we have in town.
Is
No,
it
I
water?
mean, water, well, yeah.
water and
But water is
electric
governed,
is an enterprise.
right, but they're governed by separate boards,
Right.
separate commissions.
Right.
And
We
this is
wanna
not
make sure.
separate, this is not governed by,
Right.
who is this? This is governed by
Selectmen.
selectmen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So that has to be approved every year
Yeah.
for the ambulance?
Yeah. I guess that's just the way enterprise funds
Yeah.
operate. huh?
Well, we're creating it,
First we had to create it, now we
Yeah,
gotta fund
right.
it.
then every year we have to.
Well, we
Budget
created it last
appropriation.
year, right? Is that when we?
No.
No, we
No.
created
We
a,
created the revolving
Fund.
fund last year.
Well, that's right, okay.
And now this is the
Now we're
enterprise.
moving up a step.
We're
Revolving
generating
fund,
too much money.
yeah, we're making too much money.
That's what it is, and
Yeah,
it just,
yeah.
it
Well,
is.
they finally started collecting off all the Medicare and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Remember, they were running like 90 days or 120 days behind on billing.
But
Or I should say,
our
they're being paid.
projections were conservative, and we've vastly exceeded all our projections as far as
Always nice.
usage of the, and the number of calls, number of transports, is way up beyond the average, for the industry even.
Wow.
Okay, on Article ATM 1324, Mike, do we have a dollar amount for this? It's not in the article.
I would, this is whatever's money's in the revolving account, is it?
Well, you
No,
still.
no, this is a
No,
budget
this is a budget.
appropriation.
Oh.
We can do it at town meeting if you,
Yeah, we do. I can't tell you what it is off the top of my head.
Okay, we'll make a
We can-
we'll recommend it
we
at
can
town.
skip that one
Yeah, we'll
for now.
recommend a town meeting.
Yeah.
That way you can get with them and the chief and give us a number and we'll just do that one.
Actually, I have the number, but
That's all right.
Not my brain.
No, it's, I don't think there's gonna be an issue voting it. I just wanna make sure the motion includes the dollar amount. Our
around
motion.
$120,000.
It's what?
Around 120,000
$120,000 for the enterprise fund?
for the appropriation for the budget, yes.
But I thought the revolving fund was like 194.
The 149, that was the limit.
So we're gonna do okay, if you can get those numbers, we'll do it at a town meeting. Before, at our, as Reggie calls it, our dinner meeting.
We're not
Pizza meeting.
Pizza meeting.
You guys can decide if you wanna have another meeting. We can decide after the end of this.
Okay.
All right. So, I'll entertain a motion for Article ATM 13-18, Fire Department ladder truck payment for $77,000 that will be coming out of free cash.
So moved.
The famous ladder truck.
Hey, Liz.
Can I have a second?
I get a second.
Are you guys?
No,
it's got a
it,
second.
Just write his name in.
it didn't come out maybe loud enough.
Croak.
I have a motion and a second for $77,000 to come from free cash. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yes, you did that very well, disgruntledly.
Now you got Reg and Chuck are both getting
Good
on
evening, Mr. Surface. Good, how are you? We're going through the warrant and doing our votes. Is there anything that you just want to see how we're doing and chime in?
Yeah, I've got a splitting headache tonight, so I'm not staying long. I just want to.
We're cranking through this. We're not staying long either.
this one. We're already on page 4 of 10.
Allergies have already started.
Oh, everyone, the past 2 days have been horrible. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for Article ATM 13-19 for other post-employment benefits trust fund to move $50,000 from free, to fund it with $50,000 from free cash.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for Article ATM 13-30, the intercom system for Pearlie Elementary and Middle High Schools, in the amount of $52,000 to be funded through the capital fund.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
I have a question. Is this the 2/3 capital fund?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So that's not coming from free cash.
No, this is the capital
Capital fund.
fund. If you look on, did you pick up one of the budgets?
Right here.
Go to the
On
last
the
page.
Last page is where it's all coming from.
Go
Last
to the last
page.
page and ignore the headings.
Yeah, ignore the headings that say budget and the years. And you see where we are making recommendations on how to pay for these different items, out of what accounts.
Because what we put in the budget the current budget for capital improvements was like was it 450,000 sticks in my head for some reason. Did we, we funded instead of putting in the CIP, we did in the operating budget last year, didn't we put money in there for capital improvements?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like 100 and,
Maybe two, maybe I'm off on the number. But
No, we put in 300,000
Yeah.
because there was 84 in there, and at spring, we put 300,000.
Right.
I mean, in
In
the
the
fall, we put 300 grand in.
Right.
Okay.
So have we spent any of that money, or is that coming back to free cash for the next cycle?
That, we're spending it right now.
We're spending it right now. Because it requires a town meeting vote to spend, even though it's in the operating budget?
No, it's
no,
not in
it's
the
a
operating
different-
budget. It's in
Different
the-
account.
Oh, we put it in the CIP.
It's the capital stabilization fund, not the capital
operating.
Operating line item.
That's the word. If you look up there, we've got
Gotcha,
free
okay.
cash, capital fund,
Yeah, I got it.
and capital operating.
All right. Oh, that'll clear out the capital operating. Got it.
Capital fund doesn't go back into free cash.
Because I
It
knew there was
stays there.
400, because if you take 3, yeah. there's
Capital
the
fund
400.
is just, it sits there, you don't,
All right, thank you.
forgot
I
about
forget a lot.
it. No, you don't.
There'll still be 214 in the capital fund.
Yeah, I got it, yep.
okay, I
We need to
have,
vote on that.
no, I know. I have a motion and a second on Article ATM 13-30. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion for Article ATM 13-31, replacement of the handicap ramp at the middle high school in the sum of $38,000 coming from the capital fund line item.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Well, just,
Mm-hmm.
is that concrete ramp there that we're talking about?
In the high school, the one that's deteriorating, going up and around, yeah. They can't, we heard from Mike that we can't just overlay it or anything, because it's gotta be at a certain pitch and everything, and he's tried to patch it, so the whole thing has to get completely ripped out and put back in.
I just thought $38,000 for a
And
ramp.
that's a lot of concrete.
It's a lot of, it's deconstructing it and reconstructing it. They can't patch it anymore, they can't, and we asked them about an overlay.
Kind of like our roads, right?
Well, the roads we can keep patching. Handicap ramps have got a very specific slope factor,
Okay.
so,
Very
yeah,
specific
very
specs.
specific. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion for ATM 13-32, the replacement of the HVAC unit for the auditorium at the middle high school, sum of $80,000 coming out of the capital fund.
So moved.
And second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the purchase of the entertain a motion for ATM 13-33, purchase of a six-wheel dump truck in the amount of $150,000, with $100,000 being funded out of capital operating and $50,000 being funded out of free cash.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Jim, Orange, when in doubt.
Okay. We're gonna, Article
We're gonna
13-20, we're gonna do that at,
Do that, yeah.
at the dinner meeting?
Madam Chairman, I can speak to that one, we're still waiting on legal counsel.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Yeah.
we'll make our recommendation at town meeting floor.
Mike Phillips.
So, I'll entertain a motion for Article ATM 13-21.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, do I
You
have
didn't
to-
say
I
what
didn't
it
say,
was.
for the
The
dog
dog
licensing
licensing
fees
town
from the town clerk,
Sorry.
as printed in the warrant.
Yep. Then so
Second.
moved
Yeah.
and seconded.
Yep.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, on to Article ATM 13-22.
We're doing these separately,
We're
correct?
doing these separately, yes.
Oh, we are.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. This is where I always go. Yeah, I have issues, Jim.
Entertain a motion to recommend approval of A, the general budget appropriations of, as printed in the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion for B, Housing Authority Community Building. That is for the sum of $26,700.
So moved.
As printed in the warrant, excuse me, as printed in the warrant.
Second.
Any further discussion? Oh, you took a breath. I thought he was gonna say something.
Really? Oh, no. I had that look about me, huh?
Done a little research on this. We do own Trestle Way. The town owns Trestle Way. The town owns the, I wanna say Jackman Street. We own those too.
Jewett.
Jewett Street, rather, excuse me. We've done research, we've looked at the deeds. We took the Trestle Way property by eminent domain years ago. And that was set up in a trust with the state. But we own Trestle Way and we also own those other affordable units. Now, the state did give us the land for the other affordable units. So George helped me out with this and sent me all the deeds, so we have it. So if anybody asks, we own Trestle Way.
Oh, really? That's, I always thought the
So
state
what,
owned it.
so
I
what
do too.
does the state own then?
The state doesn't own anything. The state.
They own the
what
right
state
to
does-
tell you what to do, right?
Well, no, they do, because the state subsidizes the whole project. And if you look at the deed, right, it actually says the Georgetown Housing Authority owns the properties, which the town owns the housing authority. So it's kind of convoluted the way it's set up, but the state is kicking in a lot of money for the rent for the units, depending upon income and need. So, that's how it works. So just point of reference to let everybody know.
So if for any reason we ever wanted to get rid of the housing authority, we own all that land and all the buildings.
Yes, but not the other property, that would go back to that'd have to go back to the state, be liquidated, and the money would go back to the state, because that deed is a little bit different.
That the Jewish Street one.
George Street one, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
I think you have a motion and a second.
Yes,
on
we have a
the-
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
She's really good at this. She's experienced.
I know, yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. Ed, if I'm going too fast, just let me know, because this is how we roll through it. That's how we roll. All right, entertain a motion for C, Affordable Housing Trust grant in the amount of $100,000,
What does this
as
do?
printed in the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
What does this do?
I can explain that, we just had our
I
meeting.
Yes.
forgot.
Yes.
Well, we have Affordable Housing Trust, and we have multiple projects going right now. We're gonna be rolling out a rental subsidy program coming up. So, again, this money is going towards, we have a housing production plan that we're working on. So this is funding that. We also hired the town planner for 10 hours a week. We're working on deed riders, we're working on inventories, and we have the task force up and running now too. So we have boots on the ground looking for, trying
Yeah.
to fulfill the housing production plan. And it's good to have this money, that if planning board comes up with something in between that we can act on, we have the dollars to go ahead and do that. We have a very active board. We meet every 2 weeks, both the trust and the Affordable Housing Trust. We just had a
Nice.
meeting, that's where I just came from.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
2 weeks.
That's nice to hear.
Every 2 weeks, we're up and running. We're gonna be rolling out a rental subsidy program,
Wow.
coming up within, on April 22nd.
Wow.
Excellent.
Okay. Any further discussion? Oh, do we have, we have a motion, a second.
Yeah, we
Any
do.
further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Article D. Entertain a motion for Article D, Community Preservation Historic Resources, Central Fire Company Historic. Are we missing a word there? Is it Historic Preservation? Did we lose a line?
Community
Historic
preservation,
Central Fire
historic
Company
resources.
Antiquities.
Historic Resources?
Oh,
This is to
Oh,
display
yeah, the-
antiques and stuff, is that?
yeah, that
Yeah.
must, that
They have a
got
bunch of
truncated.
antique
I'm
equipment.
not sure,
What the last word is?
no.
Gotta shut that phone off. Go ahead.
I
said
think
no, I
it's
said no.
historic preservation.
I think it was historic preservation too. It's for preserving their, I know it's for preserving their,
Sandy's daughter downloaded the ringtones for her.
Somebody's critiquing the meeting, I think.
all right. Entertain a motion for D, we're assuming it's Central Fire Company Historic Preservation,
Preservation of some
in the amount of $7,500.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. If you can excuse me, I need to take this. If we can have just why don't you talk amongst yourselves?
Okay.
I apologize.
Where is the historic fire company even located? Where is that?
Brocklebank Museum? It's
No,
on
the
East
one before it. This one, the one we just
Oh,
voted
the
on.
one you just voted $7,500 for.
Central Fire Company.
Where is it?
Where's the Central Fire
Well,
Company?
no, it says for historic preservation, and I mean,
They have a bunch of equipment in the firehouse. That are antiques, that are historic, and they want a way of preserving them, as I understand it, right? Is it so?
I have a
That's-
family emergency.
That's a
For
display on
display,
Erie
yeah.
Ford. Is this going to Erie Ford's display?
Good.
No, this is Central.
Central?
Central.
because I've been to the area one, I've seen their
Right.
historic displays.
This is a much smaller
Can you
one, because
wait,
that one.
please?
I've never seen it. Okay.
I need to, I have to go. I have a family emergency.
Oh,
I apologize. Okay, so do we take that vote? 6,
The 7,500 we took.
Okay.
7,500.
great. I just wanna move, H before I leave.
You want to
Article
just go to
H.
H?
Yeah, just go to H, and then if,
Then we'll,
you guys, whoever can take over. Community preservation, and entertain a motion for community preservation, open space category, conservation restriction, in the amount of $150,000.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Who was the aye? Aye, aye. Aye.
Me, yeah.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay.
3-3.
3-3. Okay. I apologize. I don't know who wants to. Chuck, if you can ramble as fast as I can. Your co-chair.
Okay.
If you're unsure.
I've got my
You
good
got
right-hand team right over here and over to my left too, so not a
All right,
problem.
let's go then.
Where are we up to? We?
E,
back at
yeah,
E.
we're doing E.
Yeah, we do. We still have a quorum.
The Community Preservation Historic Resources, what is this category? Historic,
Good luck.
Thanks. It's supposed to be tomorrow.
So we're at E
Yes.
Yeah.
for the Community Preservation Historic Resources category, Historic Rockwell Bank Museum,
Yep.
Restoration and Rehabilitation
So move.
for
Oops, sorry.
$52,000.
There you go.
Okay.
So
So
ahead.
moved.
so moved.
Second.
There we go.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. So now we're what, at F?
Correct.
Community Preservation Historic category, the Camp Dennison Historic Preservation Phase 3. And let's see, they're wanting
Total of 60,000.
$60,000 for engineering, permitting, and implementation of improvements as recognized by the Georgetown Conservation Committee. Okay.
It's finishing a bathroom. We've already.
Was that the
got-
one from last year or
Yes, it
something?
is. Yeah, this is.
Same one?
It's
I
the same
remember
one.
that.
Yeah, this is.
We're still working on it?
Yes, they are. It's not done.
Okay.
One hell of a battle.
Okay. Any discussion?
No, we need a
No, we
motion.
haven't moved it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll move the
Move it.
question.
All right.
Second.
All right, Reggie. All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, yeah, the
I'll go to G, Community Preservation Historic Resources category, Historic Documents Preservation. And this is for $15,000 for a project preserve and archive the town's historic records in an electronic format. Is this back to where they had all those in the basement that were
Right.
deteriorating
Yeah,
and
this
they
is
really
good.
wanted
Yeah,
to?
yeah,
I
they're
remember
trying
that.
to preserve some
Yeah,
of those.
okay.
I think. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I can understand that. Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. H.
No, we
community-
did H.
Oh, we did that.
Oh, we did that already.
Now
That's
we're on
right.
to I.
Right, we
was
jumped
split.
ahead.
It was dead
So
even.
we're
3-3.
on
What do you think of that?
I, Community Preservation Open Space category for the high school fields rehabilitation. And let's see.
Will be written by town council. Oh, so
Now, is this related to what we were talking about here a few weeks ago with Parks and Recreation, where they were doing all that? Same thing.
This is it,
This
yeah.
is the $1 million.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
If I would think if we want to wait to see the
We
final
don't have a
article,
number,
but-
right? So.
No, we have the number.
We
but
have the number.
We
It's
have
Well,
the
we
number.
don't $1 million.
It's just bond counsel's
Yeah.
language to
council's
make
language.
it.
I don't mind voting on it. I mean, we've talked to them.
Yeah.
We know it's gonna be a bond and a
Yeah, yeah,
two-thirds
and a
majority.
And we
Yeah,
know
not
rates
to
are
exceed
cheap
$1 million.
and so,
Yeah,
well, it might be not as cheap as the last time, but cheap.
right.
Okay. So,
So I move. Let me move that. I move that we approve community preservation open space category high school field rehabilitation for $250,000 from open space reserve and bonding not to exceed $1 million.
very good, Jim. All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, the Community Preservation Open Space category for the American Legion Park rehabilitation. And let's see, they're wanting what? 17?
$135,000.
Okay, $135,000, okay, to fund the engineering, legal, permitting, and construction cost.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I remember when that was originally built.
Next one is ATM 13-28,
Do we wanna,
is that right?
do we wanna
Yes.
vote on this right now, where Sandy isn't here?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I might, on this.
Yes, sir.
The Affordable Housing Trust is all, and Task Force are gonna recommend an additional piece of language in this.
Oh.
For what
On the
we-
CPC?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
We already have a seat on CPC from the Affordable Housing Task Force,
Yeah.
as assigned by the task force.
Okay,
We're gonna, that's not in here, but Mike should have that language by tomorrow. Is what we wanna do is say that, affordable, either or, we can appoint somebody from either the trust or the task force, rather than just the task force. And that the trust would be the appointing authority. Just a little bit of a change, because it gives us more pool of people,
oh,
Right.
okay.
so that,
So do we want to defer this?
So we want to just
Yeah, let's
hold off
defer
on
this
that,
until
yeah.
the night of town meeting,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So we don't need to do anything, okay.
we need to have a motion on that?
No, we don't need to do
We
anything,
don't
we
need to
just don't do
We just
anything.
we'll
All
wait.
right. The next, we'll see. Let me go through all that. Next one is ATM 13-29, the senior citizen property tax abatement.
this came from Board of Selectmen also.
Yeah, this is,
We wanna increase the work, the tax,
From 10 to 15,000?
yeah,
Yeah.
for seniors to work, and volunteer at the town and get it.
this money comes from the overlay that they
Yes.
get.
Is that in the budget?
Yeah,
Right, Mike? This
Yes.
come out of the overlay?
right, that money's in the budget.
At
Okay.
15?
They have, they get a lot of money, 75,000, but it's in the overlay? What's the assessors overlay?
70,000.
70,000, so they're just increasing this.
We're gonna go from 20 to 30 participants in the program.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
assessors,
Did not increase the overlay.
Right,
Didn't increase the
Okay.
overlay, you just use it differently, yeah, yeah.
give seniors more opportunity, more seniors.
right, absolutely.
Opportunity to work off the $500
Need a
off the tax
motion.
bill.
Okay.
All right. So,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Article, street acceptance, Abbey Road, ATM 13-26. And that is voting to accept Abbey Road as a public way. So we would, take ownership of that as a town?
Yeah.
And that means we're responsible for all the maintenance and all that on there?
I think
Okay.
so.
All right.
So moved for that one.
Second. Any discussion on that at all? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, that's done.
Look at
One
that.
more.
Last one, street acceptance Cedar Lane, ATM 13-27, same way as Abbey Lane, accepting Cedar Lane as a public way.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're done.
That's it.
Now we just need Reg?
We have no other business, Mr. Chairman. I move we adjourn.
Second.
So,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye. It's done.
We're done.
See ya, David.
8:29.
Gonna have a
Good
few
going,
laughs,
Shark.